And another awesome feedback session from powerfulathletes.com. Hey, Jason. Hey, overall, great job with modifying the program and the adaptations that you've put in. You can really see the changes, the flow is better, it just makes more sense. So, excellent job. Obviously, as you're walking around, you can check out the form and you can see who's got good form, bad form. Obviously, the littler guys, their bodies are a little less rigid and they break their form earlier. Kyoto here up in front is an example of really rock solid push up form. Here's what I suggest: you'll want to take everyone to their failure point, right? To their capacity, which means capacity that they can control the range of motion through, right? As soon as their form goes, they should stop. So here's what you do. You're walking around like you are right now. You already tell them how this is going to play out. Little guy starts losing his form, boom, you tap him. Head, back, whatever. Like duck, duck, goose, right? Just go boom, out, boom, out. They just stop and they rest. You go to last boy or last girl is standing, right? This way you're pushing everyone to their individual maximum capacity within their ability to control the range of motion. Those that have greater capacity don't need as much recovery time in between sets. Those with less capacity will need greater recovery time in between sets, and they'll have that because they'll have been tapped out and they'll be waiting for the stronger ones to finish. This way, the nervous system gets an opportunity to send the correct messages and reinforce the correct mechanics. Okay. Now, what I'm going to suggest here a bit is probably the same thing, actually. Yeah, I'd definitely suggest the same thing. Go to capacity, do your duck, duck, goose, tap them out whenever they start losing form. Also, I would really be looking to have them try and freeze just momentarily at the top and try and control their descent, because you're seeing a lot of momentum here and the long lever action when the arms are helping to move the trunk. I get what you're trying to do here. That's cool. I'm just not seeing tons of control at the top, right? You want to be able to have it be sticky, right? Have those athletes stick some position somewhere when they're under load and the spine is flexed, right? To demonstrate that they have some control and they're not just throwing their body along for the ride. You know what I mean? Arms lever themselves up, they use a little bit of momentum and some force, maybe a little hip bump to get them off the floor, and we don't really know whether they have actually fulfilled the requirements of creating stability and strength. And here, your notes are good to them. You keep using the term open. I know I've taken out your audio here and I'm talking over it, but you keep using the term like open, open. And for some of them that translates, it looks like some of them get it. I would maybe also add the language drive your hips up to the ceiling, drive your chest up to the ceiling. So they really get that visual of just trying to expand from there, and that they need to really push with their arms. This is a lever action. So the harder they push, right, harder they extend their arms back behind them and push into the surface they're on, the easier it is for them to lever themselves up and open and drive the hips and rib cage up towards the ceiling. Maybe use the word rib cage too. Use the word hips, rib cage, and chest to give them the visual of the direction of force that they should be moving through. The other suggestion I would have here is to, as you're moving around, take your hands underneath the ones that are kind of struggling and aren't opening as much as you'd like, under their low back and their chest and their hips, and just drive them up, right? And some of them, if they're not using the right direction of force, right, if they're not extending their arms back, their arms are going to move a bit. So then you got to use your other hand to like stabilize their arms down so they really get that feeling of opposition. Arms drive back and down, trunk moves in opposition away. So with the rocking hollow here, I would apply the same tap out capacity model here, where you walk around, tap them out where they start losing their form. And some of them start losing it really quickly here. Check out Anna in front, right? She really cannot keep her low back down. There's no rocking here. There's just pivoting off her hips and mid to upper back. So he just kind of slams back and forth. Other athletes are going to do this too if you take a look at them. And I just had to sit up here now to stretch. These are also the cues you want to look for as well when the athletes are compensating here. And keep your eye on Anna. She's a really good case there. She just had to come up and stretch her back again now by extending. Goes back, can't do it. She's going to reach around, grab her back. It's really tight. Why? Because the abs just were overpowered by the back extensors. Okay, so this one here, this lunging position, check out most of the athletes. For some reason, and I don't recall, and I can't see it because you're off camera, so you may have been showing him this way. If you were, I'm not sure why. But look at the athletes. Most of them have their back leg straight or pretty straight. Now, a couple of the boys don't. They're getting into a good lunge position here, okay, when they go down. They're at a really mechanically disadvantageous position here by doing this, right? They can't get any good leverage at all, and they really should be bending both knees to 90 degrees. They don't have to make contact with the floor, that's not the point, but they need to get down, because you got to coil and recoil. So you got to like get down before you can jump up. And when you keep that back leg straight, you just have no power to leverage, and you have to kind of hinge your hips forward onto the front leg and kind of push off. You also can't get any height. Check out the height of their jumps here. They're just kind of switching their feet. That's really what they're doing. They're just switching. There is no power vertically coming from the floor up, right? So the only thing here is just have them bend their knees, tell them to push up and jump. They want hang time. They need to suspend, get their butts up high, right? Because our power is how hard we can drive force into the floor, and in opposition to that, because Newton's laws dictate that, that will determine how far off the floor we get by how hard we drive into it. Nobody here is really getting any height at all. And obviously the other part is stabilization, which I know you already were cueing them for, because I remember that part of it right there, is that they actually land and stop all that squishy movement, like Beth right there. And I'll stop talking now for the rest of this. You can just check it out. Okay, this is another one that you might want to modify. Maybe you apply the tap out capacity model here. Maybe you limit the number of repetitions they do per set. Just because some of them, especially actually a few of these guys early on, and most of them, after just a few reps, their form's gone, especially on the push-ups. The other issue here, though, is hardly any of them are maximizing their vertical jump. Take your attention to when they get up, they're in their squat position, they go to jump. I mean, the ones that actually leave the floor, they barely leave the floor, and some of them, their feet don't even leave the floor. It's like they just go up in the releve and their toes are still in contact with the floor. Look at Annabelle. Well, we'll check her out in a minute. You'll be able to see her soon. But her feet never leave the floor, and a couple other ones do the same thing. And most of them definitely do not maximize their vertical height at all. And they're in an awesome position to do that. You got them crouch, squat position. They're using some momentum coming from the push-up. I mean, they can leverage all of that, and they're not doing any of it. So the magic is not in the movement. It's in the application of it. I'm going to throw in my slogan, the thing has no power. You got them in good positions here, but I would direct them more in how to maximize each position, especially when they get to their feet. And I guarantee you some of them, especially the girls, are thinking conservation of energy here. Right? And you got to direct them every time to just lengthen their rib cage up towards the sky and drive through their legs.
One. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, hold your stomach. You're going to hold the arch position on 10. Okay, 1. Charlie, tighten up. 2. Keep the elbows together. I still see bend the arms. 3. Looking for perfect positions. Extend. 4. 5. Victor, don't lead with your head. 6. 7. 8. Izzy, you have to get your head up too. 9. 10. Hold. Show me perfect position. 10. 9. 8. 7. Come on. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. And roll to your other side. Last side. Right away, you should get to position. I already see. As soon as some of you roll, I see you roll right to the belly sticking out, which is the ones who are doing it. You are the ones that have a very hard time keeping a hollow position on your events. Okay, and this is something that should be thought about a lot. Okay, please keep this in mind. This is showing exactly where we have our problems. 1, 2. Don't push off your elbow, Robbie. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Great job.
Okay, and to finish up here, just two quick things to point out. One is look at Anna's position and compare that to Andrew's position. Andrew's got a nice flex spine going. Anna and Annabelle and a few other athletes, Izzy, all up on their shoulders, right? So the next thing I want to point out is taking a look at the cues and the clues your athletes give you, like we did with Anna and her back earlier. Well, Claire down here at the bottom of the screen, right, is going to give us another one. She's going to reach around to her spine here. She'll put a little pressure on it to support it as she goes up right into candlestick. Okay. She has a known low back condition. It's not diagnosed, whether it's bulging disc or nerve impingement. See, she's reaching around. Now she's going to go in her stomach to help take the pressure off it, right? Very classic. She went to a doctor who didn't do full diagnostics. He just did manual, came back in the gym and said, oh, she's fine. Matt McCabe goes, oh, you found a doctor that told you what you wanted to hear. And he was right. The doctor, unfortunately, is wrong, but the end of the story is she doesn't do anything to manage it. I just thought I'd point it out to you.
Again, something very important for gymnastics. You guys are going to go through this position a lot. Okay, those of you who are having a hard time with candle to pretzel, following directions is a very important part of the sport, as any sport. You have to listen and think about what you're doing.